What's going on, growers? It's James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. I'm hanging out in the food forest right now, and obviously by the looks of it, this is a different way to grow food than the usual way. A different perspective, if you will. Today I want to show you some things maybe that you've never seen before and tell you some things that maybe you've never heard. Let's go! To start things off, I want to give a little different visual perspective. To the left there, that's a new food forest. And straight ahead now, that's a 7-year-old food forest. As you can see, it's massive compared to the new one. Let me jump forward a little bit and show you a bit closer. It may not appear so at first glance with how dense it is in here, but all the plants, they all have functions and purpose. I don't have things growing in here that I don't necessarily want. If there's a quote weed in here, I just pull it out. In front of me right there, we've got a honey locust. When I first came up, I knew it was a nitrogen fixer. I didn't know exactly what tree it was. All of you helped me identify that. You let me know that it's something that's going to spread from the roots, so I'm going to be pulling that one out right after I finish this video. Here we've got a beautiful looking persimmon, Nikita's gift, and I can't wait for that baby to set up. A late producer. That Asian pear tree is doing excellent. All of our pears are doing real well. That's our most reliable crop here. We knew that going into it, and that's why we added a number of new pears into the new food forest. I've talked about it before, but know what trees do well locally and plant a number of those trees as your foundational. This way you'll always basically know you're going to be getting fruit. Make sure you plant different things for fun too though. Like this peach tree, still loaded up with fruit, doing well. We're hoping the bugs didn't get all of them, the curculio. The new cherry tree is doing real well, just growing a little too fast. One thing you'll notice in here is some things are getting a little overgrown. In the future, I'm going to come through and cut some of this stuff back, but I definitely have some kind of small addiction to planting trees. Trees are so incredible to me. Bill Mollison talks about a little bit about the beauty of a tree and how amazing it is, and I can't really phrase it better than him, so let me share a little his words.
A tree is something more marvelous. How could you possibly be bothered to invent fairies or divas or angels when you have something as fantastic as a tree? Why would you want to invent miracles when you got one outside your bloody window? You can't understand that. You have to invent bloody angels because you can understand bloody angels. You're like a scientist. You can't measure anything that you don't make to measure. You have to make something before you can measure it. So what did you measure? What you're doing yourself. You can't measure a tree. Yeah. Spiritualists in the modern New Age sense are very like scientists. It's only what they invent that they can understand. They can't understand anything of anything out there.
Wow, super powerful words there in my opinion, by what I call the father of permaculture, Bill Mollison. And it's a lot to take in. You may want to rewind it and listen to it one more time. But there's a couple things I want to talk about. The first one is that almost childlike curiosity and excitement that Bill has when talking about trees and even permaculture. I believe that kind of excitement, that we all need that, no matter what our passion is. But when we're pursuing it, we've got to have that curiosity if we want to continue to learn and grow. The other thing I want to talk about is how he mentioned that we can only understand, scientists and some other people can only understand things we invent. And this makes me think about kind of what the grandfather of permaculture, what I call, Masanobu Fukuoka, talks about. And he talks about viewing things as what he calls true nature. So seeing things from a different perspective. That's why I often talk about observation. It's not just going out and looking at the plants. There's a deeper seeing and understanding that you can't have with human knowledge. You may be thinking, James, you're talking a little crazy, but I'll touch back into it. I'll let you know what I mean. But right here you can see a beautiful pear tree. This is the moon glow, loaded with pears. And I believe these pears, the skin is just too thick for the curculio because all of our pear trees are producing well. So it's not just one variety. When I think about that though, I think about if the plum curculio didn't attack our trees, the harvest we would have would be epic. It'd be insane. There's a few cherries still on here, on the Bing, that the curculio haven't bit. So I'm waiting on a couple of those, but we gotta watch them because I know once they're about ripe, the birds are gonna come. They're always here about the day it happens. And you know we're growing underneath the fruit trees too, like always. We've got raspberries, comfrey, strawberries, rhubarb, lemon balm. We've got some white currants underneath this pear tree here. We've been eating those. And Masanobu Fukuoka, actually, what he says is the start of natural farming, or the start to becoming a natural farmer, is actually understanding how ignorant man really is. Which is kind of funny, but also wise. Because understanding that we really don't, our human knowledge doesn't have too much to do with nature. We need to learn from it, we need to mimic it. And a lot of Masanobu's philosophy and understanding, I've put that into my garden. So I really believe that there's a piece of Masanobu in here. There's also a piece of Bill Mollison in here. He's been a huge inspiration to me, his ideas. There's definitely a piece of Paul Gauci in here too, with the wood chips. There's a lot of Joel Salatin. Just getting this thing started wouldn't have been possible without Joel. So this whole garden is a conglomeration of different ideas, philosophies, and understanding, filtered then through me. Because at the end of it, I've blended it all into what my view is, I'll call it. My philosophy, my view, because it's not static, it's always changing. I try not to be a zealot in any way. I want to learn, I want to be open. But I do know that you can't trick nature. Looks like we've got a little bird's nest hanging out in here. So those added little gifts, those things. This section I need to cut back, it's getting super dense. I'm going to show you guys how I come through and cut a lot of this stuff out, because I want to focus on fruit. We have to have a balance between doing enough, not doing too much, but we have to step in and be the steward at times, especially when you plant things as dense as I have. So it's just a learning process through the years, but you can see this peach tree above me is doing real well, a lot of fruit on it, and I can't wait to be eating some fresh peaches. Underneath the peach tree and underneath the blackberries too, we've got more strawberries, still ripe, delicious. And we're eating these ones, we've been eating them for a while. They're starting to finish up soon. I don't see that many more flowers. As these are finishing up, our black cap raspberries will be ready. They're almost ready now, getting close, starting to red up. And you see the blackberries, they still have some time. I've got raspberries back in my chicken pen plantings too. I probably have never shown you, but I'll show you a little later. Got some nice yellow raspberries that are ready to eat. They are delicious. So the asparagus under here, we're not picking anymore, it's just growing top now, so it'll actually grow a bigger root in the future, give us bigger harvests. We've got some young ones that are still popping up, but we're not eating them anymore. You don't want to eat them all throughout the season. It's better to pick them for a few weeks at a time and then stop. In the back, we've got a pear tree, the old one that's got some very nice looking fruit on it, and hopefully those can finish. Like I said, the pears, they crush it here, so we like to have a good amount of pears in the ground. Here we've got the other white currant. This one I put in only about a year or two ago, so it's performing really well. We've eaten most of the currants, but there's still some here. And I like the white currants, they're really good. And I like the black ones too. The white ones are a little small, they have a good amount of seeds in them, but I still really like the flavor. While the black ones are usually a little bigger, but have more of like a spice. And as you guys know, this tree here, it grew well this year. It had a good amount of fruit on it, the apricot, but the curculio just bit it up. We're not going to complain. We're not going to let it bring us down or discourage us. We're going to keep moving forward because we choose what we focus on, guys. That's one of our greatest things, our mind. I heard it said that the only thing that's different between a pig and a man is his mind. So that's something to think about. And I'm going to choose what I focus on. I choose to focus on all the triumphs I'm having in here. Like the zucchini. Starting to come up. We're going to be eating that soon. But this is the year of the berry, without a doubt. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. I mean, the berries are going crazy this year. Still getting some cherries. Still got some Mount Morency hanging on as we've eaten some of those. But again, we focus on the good, but we learn from the bad. The bad actually is good if we can switch up that perspective, because every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success. Let me bring you over through the raspberry patch and over to some of the other stuff in the corner. Let's just tread through, and you can see there's another rhubarb there. I don't even think I can tread through here anymore or even want to. So the sea of raspberries is going to change a little in the future. We're going to pull some of them out, especially around the base of the trees. But if you go back to my old videos, you'll notice where I talk about how the idea with this food forest was fruit trees, some binding species, and let's get the whole ground covered with strawberries, raspberries. We've got some currants in, gooseberries, shade-loving things. So let's just grow as much food as we possibly can. Even in a section that doesn't get a lot of light, it gets enough that we can grow. That's what we're gonna do. Some of these tomatoes are setting up nicely, and they're having a great start. We already pruned them, we just haven't staked them yet. So all of them are following our pruning method. You can see this one's a little more of a hard pruning, taking off more of the leaves, but the tomatoes are strong, especially for a section here that doesn't get complete sunlight. This tomato's looking great, and I can't wait to be eating some fresh tomatoes. Here we've got blackberries from the chicken pen planting, and this one right here, this new shoot, we're gonna cut that at about 2 to 4 feet. We want those lateral branches, that's where the fruit's at. Another pear tree, here's the seckle. So you can see all the pears performing, doing real well. And here's the horseradish, and a citrus in Jersey. What? Yep, a citrus in Jersey. No fruit this year, but we're hoping for big things. We're gonna stay confident with that one. Let me show you some more of the chicken pen plantings. It's June 19th today. We're a couple days from summer, but it feels like a summer day. It is hot out here. But at this time of summer, when it's hot, this is when we need to press forward even more. We have to learn from the ant, who thinks winter all summer, prepares for the winter all summer, doesn't sit back. Because if we sit back, if we rest, if we don't take care of the garden, our harvest is going to be affected. So I've noticed that the food forest this year, it's not performing as well as I think it could. And I think some of the reason is because I haven't been around as much as I wanted to be, because I've spent some time building the new food forest, other areas of the property, and what I think the garden is missing is a little bit of what I call grandma's love. It's that thing that when grandma cooks, it just tastes better. So it's that personal connection, that love that you put into it that you have to get back, because everything comes after its kind. So I'm trying to come out here and enjoy myself and just be a light to the garden, because I think that'll really help. I think some of the reasons some of my pests may have gotten bitten this year is because maybe some of the stuff has to do with me. We have to look at all areas of our life, maybe do a little introspection. Let me take you to the chicken pen planting though. We're hanging out in the chicken pen now. Straight ahead is the 7-year-old food forest. To my right here is the new food forest, doing real nice. And we're in the chicken pen though. Just because we're in a chicken pen doesn't mean we can't be growing. So we've got raspberries, grapes, all different things growing along this fence line. Blackberries, you can probably see some of them in there. Some more blackberries over here. And we've got ripe raspberries. Here's some yellow raspberries. These are the yellow Ann. These ones are delicious. And these are the ones along the fence line by the grapes that I'll have a huge harvest of in the fall. You can get these as everbearing spring and fall, or just fall. But I go for just the fall one because it's usually higher quality and bigger berries. Different kinds of raspberries again. Here we've got pigeon pea. Not performing great, but it's supposed to be a good food for chickens. So we figure we'll grow that in a chicken pen. You can see how we're doing it. We've got this fencing that we've cut and then bent in an arch just so the chickens can't get in there and scratch. And then I had wood chips down, but they broke down a little bit. More blackberries here. And then we planted a new blackberry bush there. So anywhere that gets good light, we're growing food. In the future, we're also gonna put a section here and just grow some annuals in the chicken pen. The chicken pen is now covered with black leaf mulch actually, because my neighbor ordered some, and you have to order a minimum of 10 cubic yards. He had nowhere to put it. He had too much, so I said throw it in the chicken pen. So we're gonna build this great fertility in the chicken pen, moving into the food forest in the future. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. There's one important thing that I really don't want you to miss though, and it has to do with variety. You'll notice that I don't talk too much about the kinds of varieties I'm growing, because it really doesn't matter, and it shouldn't matter to you, unless you live locally to me. Variety selection, the ability to choose our varieties, is huge. We need to do research and find out which ones grow best in our local environment. So don't just copy the things that I have. Go out and find out and research what will do best in your local environment. Like I said, if you've got a lot of fungal issues, then order some things that are disease resistant to those certain fungal problems. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, that really helps. Share it with your friends too, and check us out on Steemit. You know we'll be posting again soon. James Prigioni, peace out.